A catalytic converter replacement costs between $1,000 and $4,000 at most shops. For some vehicles, like a Honda Civic, you may be looking at over $4,400. That is expensive. Dealers will tell you there is no other option. Pull it out, throw it away, install a brand new one, hand over your wallet. But in Japan, where car maintenance is practically a national discipline, mechanics and everyday drivers have been using simple, low-cost techniques to restore catalytic converters without ever unbolting them from the car. Japan has the strictest vehicle inspection system on the planet. It is called Kaizen, and every car in the country must pass it every 2 years. If your emissions are even slightly off, you fail. Your car is grounded. You cannot legally drive it. So Japanese car owners have been forced to get creative about keeping their catalytic converters clean and efficient, because the alternative is a repair bill that starts at 100,000 yen, which is over $800, just for the inspection alone, before you even touch the converter. Today, I am breaking down 7 techniques that Japanese drivers and mechanics swear by to clean a clogged catalytic converter without removing it. Some of these cost less than $20. And trick number 5 is one that most Western mechanics have never even heard of. Let's get into it. Trick number 7, the highway burn-off method. This is the foundation of Japanese catalytic converter maintenance, and it is the simplest trick on this list. In Japan, they call it the long-distance purge, and the concept is dead simple. Your catalytic converter operates at peak efficiency between 800 and 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit. At those temperatures, carbon deposits, soot, and unburned fuel residues literally burn off the honeycomb substrate inside the converter. The problem is most people drive short trips, 5 miles to work, 3 miles to the grocery store, 10 minutes sitting in traffic. The converter never gets hot enough to self-clean. Carbon builds up layer after layer until exhaust flow is restricted and your check engine light comes on. Japanese mechanics advise their customers to take their car on the highway and drive at sustained speeds for at least 30 to 45 minutes, keeping the engine speed above 3,000 revolutions per minute. In a car with a manual transmission, that means downshifting to 3rd or 4th gear at highway speed. In an automatic, many vehicles have a sport mode or a manual shift option that lets you hold a lower gear. The sustained heat and exhaust pressure burns off light to moderate carbon buildup inside the converter. It's essentially what Western mechanics call an Italian tune-up, but Japanese drivers have been doing this systematically before every shaken inspection for decades. One critical rule: your engine has to be running properly before you attempt this. If you have a misfire, if the engine is burning oil, or if the fuel system is running rich, do not try this method. You will overheat the converter and potentially melt the ceramic substrate, which turns a cleanable problem into a mandatory replacement. Trick number 6, the fuel additive flush. This is the most accessible method on the list, and it is the one Japanese auto parts stores push the hardest right before shaken season. Products like Oxycat, Catalytic Converter, Cleaner, and CataClean are fuel additives that you pour directly into your gas tank. They contain specialized solvents that mix with your fuel, pass through the combustion chamber, and work their way into the catalytic converter where they dissolve carbon deposits and clean the oxygen sensors at the same time. Here is how Japanese mechanics recommend using them for maximum effectiveness. First, wait until your fuel tank is about a quarter full. Pour in the recommended amount of cleaner. Then fill the tank with premium fuel, not regular. Premium fuel burns cleaner and hotter, which complements the cleaning action of the additive. Then drive the car for at least 100 to 150 miles, mixing highway driving with some higher engine revolutions per minute runs. The combination of the chemical solvent breaking down deposits and the high exhaust temperatures burning them off is significantly more effective than using either method alone. Now, let's be honest. If your catalytic converter is severely clogged, or if the ceramic honeycomb inside is cracked or melted, no fuel additive on Earth will fix it. These products work best as preventive maintenance or for mild to moderate carbon buildup. Japanese drivers typically use a catalytic converter cleaner every 3,000 to 5,000 miles as routine maintenance, which is something almost nobody does in America. They do not wait until the check engine light comes on. They prevent the problem from happening in the first place. A bottle of quality catalytic converter cleaner costs between $15 and $25. Compare that to a $2,000 replacement. Trick number 5. The intake spray cleaner method. This is where things get really interesting, and it is a method most American backyard mechanics do not know about. In Japan, products like Liqui-Moly Catalytic System Cleaner are sprayed directly into the engine intake tract while the engine is running at moderate revolutions per minute, between 2,000 and 3,000. Unlike fuel tank additives that get diluted across an entire tank of gas and are partially consumed during combustion, this method delivers a concentrated burst of cleaning solvent directly through the combustion chamber and into the catalytic converter. The procedure is precise. Warm the engine to operating temperature. Locate the intake tract, ideally a vacuum hose behind the throttle body or the airflow sensor. With the engine running at about 2,500 revolutions per minute, spray the cleaner into the intake in short, controlled bursts. If the engine revolutions per minute start fluctuating wildly by more than about 700 revolutions per minute, shorten the spray intervals. If the revolutions per minute stay stable, you can lengthen them slightly. What happens is the cleaning agent enters the combustion chamber, does not fully combust, and then passes into the exhaust system as an active solvent that attacks carbon and soot deposits directly on the catalytic converter precious metal coating. Japanese shops that specialize in shaken preparation use this method routinely. It is more aggressive than a fuel additive, but less invasive than removing the converter entirely. The key is not to overdo it. Too much solvent at once can flood the engine, or worse, create a fireball in the exhaust system. Follow the product instructions exactly. Hey, before we get to the next 4 tricks, if you are learning something new, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps more than you think. Trick number 4. Diagnose and fix the root cause first. This might not sound like a cleaning trick, but Japanese mechanics consider this the most critical step, and it is the one that Americans skip almost every single time. In Japan's shaken culture, mechanics do not just clean the symptom, they find out why the converter got dirty in the first place. A catalytic converter does not clog on its own. Something upstream is sending contamination into it. The most common culprits are worn spark plugs, causing incomplete combustion, faulty oxygen sensors sending incorrect data to the engine computer and causing a rich fuel mixture, leaking fuel injectors, dumping raw fuel into the exhaust, oil entering the combustion chamber through worn valve seals or piston rings, and a malfunctioning mass airflow sensor. Japanese mechanics systematically check every one of these components before touching the catalytic converter. Here is why this matters. If your engine is burning oil because of worn valve seals, you can clean the converter until it sparkles, and it will be clogged again within a few thousand miles. The oil enters the cylinders, gets combusted, and the residue bakes onto the catalytic converter honeycomb. If your spark plugs are worn out and your engine is misfiring, unburned fuel floods into the converter where it ignites and can actually melt the ceramic substrate. At that point, no cleaning method will save it. In the Japanese approach, you replace the worn spark plugs, fix the oil leak, replace the faulty oxygen sensor, and then clean the converter. The cleaning actually sticks because you have eliminated the source of contamination. Most American shops skip straight to replacement because it is faster and more profitable. A Japanese mechanic would call that wasteful and irresponsible. Trick number 3. The OBD2 Reset and Monitor Strategy. This is a technique that Japanese mechanics use to verify whether their cleaning actually worked, and it is brilliant in its simplicity. After performing any of the cleaning methods above, you need to know if it made a difference. The check engine light alone does not tell you enough. Japanese mechanics use an OBD2 scanner to read the specific diagnostic trouble codes first. The most common catalytic converter code is P0420, which indicates catalyst system efficiency below threshold. They clear the codes and then drive the vehicle through a drive cycle, a specific pattern of driving that triggers the engine's onboard computer to reevaluate every emissions component. Here is the Japanese method for the drive cycle. Start the engine cold, let it idle for about 2 minutes, then drive at a steady 25 miles per hour for about 2 minutes. Accelerate smoothly to 45 miles per hour and hold it for about 3 minutes. Then cruise at 55 to 65 miles per hour for at least 5 minutes. Decelerate without braking, and coast. Then repeat the highway portion. During this drive cycle, the engine computer runs its readiness monitors, including the catalyst efficiency test. If the P0420 code does not come back, and the catalyst monitor shows complete and passed on your scanner, the cleaning worked. If the code returns, the converter needs more aggressive treatment or replacement. This systematic verification is what separates the Japanese approach from the typical Western method of just clearing the code and hoping for the best. Trick number 2, the premium fuel cycle. Japanese car enthusiasts have shared this method on forums for years, and it is backed by solid combustion chemistry. The trick is simple. For 3 to 4 consecutive fill-ups, use the highest octane fuel available at your gas station. In the United States, that is typically 93 octane premium. Here is the science. Higher octane fuel has a more complete and controlled burn in the combustion chamber. This means fewer unburned hydrocarbons make it into the exhaust system. With fewer contaminants entering the catalytic converter, the converter's natural operating heat can begin burning off existing deposits without new ones being added. It is like letting the converter catch up on its cleaning backlog. Japanese drivers combine this with the highway burn-off method from trick number 7. Premium fuel plus sustained, high RPM highway driving creates the ideal conditions for the catalytic converter to self-regenerate. The exhaust temperatures are higher, the fuel is burning cleaner, and the increased exhaust flow helps push loosened deposits out of the system. Now, is premium fuel going to unclog a severely blocked converter? No, but for mild contamination, especially on vehicles that have been driven mostly on short trips with regular grade fuel, this combination can measurably improve catalyst efficiency. Japanese shaken preparation guides specifically recommend running at least 2 tanks of high-octane fuel before the inspection. Some owners even add a quality fuel system cleaner to the first premium tank for a combined effect, layering trick number 6 with trick number 2. Trick number 1, preventive maintenance scheduling. And here's the number 1 Japanese trick, and it's the one that will save you the most money over the life of your vehicle. It's not a cleaning hack, it's a mindset. In Japan, catalytic converter maintenance is built into the regular service schedule. It's not an afterthought. It's not something you deal with when the check engine light comes on. It's planned, scheduled, and executed like clockwork. The Japanese approach looks like this. Every oil change, roughly every 5,000 miles, the mechanic checks the oxygen sensors for proper function and verifies the engine's air-fuel ratio is within specification. Every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, a catalytic converter cleaner additive goes into the fuel tank. It costs $15 to $25 and takes 30 seconds to pour in. Every month or two, the car gets a sustained highway drive of at least 30 minutes at higher RPMs to keep the converter at operating temperature and burn off deposits. Spark plugs get replaced at the manufacturer's recommended interval, not 10,000 miles past it. Any check engine light gets diagnosed immediately, not ignored for 6 months. This is deeply tied to Japan's shaken inspection culture. Cars under 10 years old must emit no more than 1% carbon monoxide and no more than 300 parts per million of unburned hydrocarbons. Cars over 10 years old get slightly more lenient limits, but they're still strict by global standards. The inspection probe goes directly into the tailpipe while the engine is running. There's no faking it. Because of this system, Japanese vehicles are consistently among the best maintained in the world. It's one of the reasons why Japanese used cars are so sought after in international export markets. They've been maintained to a standard that most American car owners would consider obsessive. But that obsessive maintenance is exactly why a 15-year-old Toyota from Japan often runs better than a 5-year-old one from the US. The average catalytic converter replacement in America costs between $1,000 and $4,000. These 7 Japanese-inspired maintenance techniques, combined, cost less than $50 per year. The math isn't even close. One final thing worth mentioning. If you try these methods and your check engine light stays on, if you hear rattling inside the converter when you tap it, if your exhaust is glowing red after driving, or if your vehicle has severe power loss where it can barely accelerate, your converter is likely beyond cleaning. The internal ceramic honeycomb may be cracked, melted, or collapsed. At that point, replacement is the only safe option. These techniques work for carbon buildup and mild clogging. They don't perform miracles on converters that are physically destroyed inside. But for the millions of drivers who are just starting to notice sluggish acceleration, a slight drop in fuel economy, or that dreaded P0420 code on their dashboard, these Japanese methods could save you thousands of dollars and keep your car running clean for years to come. That's all for today. If you found this valuable, smash that like button and subscribe so you do not miss our next video. Drop a comment below if you have tried any of these methods. I would love to hear your results. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.